السكوب الخاصة بالبيج بلوك باستر موفي The Hobbit An Unexpected Journey. وهلأ بسكوب باز رح نكتشف سوا الشخصيات الجديدة يلي شفناها بقصة The Hobbit.
Allow me to introduce Fili, Kili, Oin, Loin, Darlin, Balin, Biffa, Bofa, Bomba, Nori, and the leader of our company, Thorin Oakenshield.
It's very nice to see you in one of the lead roles of The Hobbit. What was the most important part for you to be part of it?
I think my love of Peter's trilogy and obsession or love, I suppose. I remember seeing that film over and over and being a huge fan of the book. So being invited to come down and join his world was exciting. I was a little bit confused that he wanted a 6'2" guy to come and play a dwarf.
And action!
How important is the actor choices for you generally, especially in this one? We're introduced to a whole new, set of people.
We always try to cast our movies with actors that will play truthfully. That they're not pretending. They're not kind of playing in a fantasy film as such. It was very important to us that we have characters that feel absolutely grounded and authentic.
I'm surrounded by dwarves. What are they doing here?
Oh, they're quite a merry gathering.
So, this is The Hobbit.
It's very interesting to see the billboard behind you because it shows the physical transformation you went through on a day-to-day basis. What was it?
Facially, we had a forehead and a nose prosthetic, a head, ears and wig, so that the head was slightly enlarged so that when we were shrunk down, we didn't look like children, we looked like warriors. On the whole, it would take about 2.5 to 3 hours to get ready to work, so often we were called at 4:30 in the morning to start.
Not difficult to be an angry dwarf, then.
Not difficult to be hot, sweaty and angry.
Try it. Just a mouthful.
Don't like green food.
Have they got any chips?
What's the process? Prosthetics, makeup? How do you feel like you're in the role?
Well, I think going through all that, you suddenly are the dwarf, I was pretty lucky. I didn't have as much as poor Stephen Hunter, but yeah, the makeup, about an hour of makeup, an hour of beard, and then the costume. So you couldn't help it but turn into a dwarf, I guess.
And then horses and now. Go, 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 go.
Which characters do you most identify with?
I really identify with Bilbo, with the hobbits. And identify a little bit with the dwarves, I have to say. I'm probably, if I was anything, I'd be a little bit hobbit, a little bit dwarf.
Shut your cloud! It's Ricky!
So for you, what is it all about, the characters, the dwarves?
I think, for me, Thorin leading his people back to their homeland from which they've been exiled is one of those stories which runs through generations and cultures. Everyone hopes that when called upon, they might have that same courage.
Was that a wolf? Are there wolves out there?
Wolves? No, that is not a wolf.
It was a true ensemble. I mean,
Yeah, and in 2 and 3, I think in 2 and 3 you see more of the dwarves. In the first one they wanted to establish some of the other characters, they brought some of the old guys back. But I think when we get to the next 2, it really is about the dwarves and the Hobbit moving forward.
What do we have to look forward in second and third?
Well, in the second of the Hobbit movies, they will get to confront a very, very angry dragon. They finally get to Erebor, and it doesn't go very well for them.
That's something we have to look forward to.
Well, that could have been worse.
فقرة هاتن هوليوود عم نخصصها هالأسبوع للنجم البريطاني مارتن فريمان يلي بيأدي الدور الرئيسي ب The Hobbit An Unexpected Journey، دور بيلبو باغنز الهوبيت بنفسه.
Bilbo Baggins. I'm looking for someone to share in an adventure.
I can't just go running off into the blue. I am a Baggins.
Wait!
Of Baggin.
Martin, it's a pleasure to see you. It's a very exciting role, very exciting for us as audience members to discover The Hobbit. And the fact that this is coming after The Lord of the Rings, when it was actually written before The Lord of the Rings, how does that change the approach?
I approach it as I think I would in the same way as if this came first, which is hopefully with some freshness, not too many preconceived ideas, just trying to be open to what Pete wants and the demands of the film and the other actors.
How many more are there?
Where do you want this?
Oh, no.
No, there's nobody home! Go away and Bother somebody else!
But you had wonderful comedic timing in it. How important was that to infuse it in Bilbo Baggins? Something that we're not always familiar with in the other films.
Yeah, well, I think the book is lighter. You know, the book is a different tone, I think, to Lord of the Rings. There is some overt comedy in there. You know, that's what surprised me when I read it. I thought it would be a bit more precious, to pardon the pun, I thought it would be a bit more precious and a bit more serious in a way.
Action. If this is some clothead's idea of a joke, I can only say it's in very poor taste.
We'll talk about real seeing the film. We, as audience members, felt like we were on the set.
Well,
so how strange was it for you to just watch yourself as if you were next to yourself?
For me, I was just relieved that I liked it, and I was relieved that I wasn't surprised because I know Pete's a very good film director. But I was pleased that I was happy with what I did, and I was really proud of everyone else. I was really proud of being in the film.
Here, Mr. Bilbo, where are you off to? I'm going on an adventure.
من أهم الشخصيات بكل أفلام لورد اوف ذا رينجز وخاصة هون بذا هوبيت شخصية جولم، والممثل يلي بيأدي هالدور على الشاشة هو أندي سيركس. اتكلم معي عن أهمية التقنية بتصوير أفلام ذا هوبيت ولورد اوف ذا رينجز خاصة هون ب An Unexpected Journey لأنه الفيلم تصور بتقنية ال 3D.
What is it, precious? What is it?
My name is Bilbo Baggins.
Bagginses. What is Bagginses, precious?
You're back as Gollum. Was there anything in the first 3 books that you thought you'd like to do and all of a sudden there's an opportunity?
Yeah, I think it was to have fun with the range, the full range of the character in this very intense scene. I mean, it's an extraordinary scene which I remember very, very clearly from reading the book as a child. It stood out for me, that the riddles in the dark passage. And what I really wanted to do is to allow the audience to feel, you know, sympathy and enjoy actually, have fun with Gollum.
Is it soft? Is it juicy?
Now, keep your distance.
Did the change in technology give you a bit more performance freedom?
This time round, we just have to do it once. I'm wearing a slightly different arrangement of gear, so I have a motion capture suit, but this time the facial expressions are caught using a head-mounted camera on a boom, which films my face. And so, in fact, this scene was shot in its entirety, every single take. We would start the scene and we'd play the whole scene out, which lasted about 12 minutes. So it was like doing a piece of theatre.
I don't want any trouble, you understand? Just show me the way to get out of here, and I'll be on my way.
Well, Andy thoroughly enjoyed the famous scene with, you know, between Bilbo and Gollum.
Give me a 12-minute take with Andy Serkis any day of the week. I'll do that all day long. You know, those are the reasons that you want to be an actor in the first place, because you learn things, you discover stuff, you play it differently every single time.
Why don't we have a game of riddles?
And if it loses, what then? Well, if it loses, precious, then we eat it. If Baggins loses, we eat it whole.
Fair enough.
وهلا لأهم الانترفيوز الليلة بالهوبيت سبيشل وهي مع النجوم كيت بلانشيت وإيان ماككيلن يلي بيأدوا أدوار غاندالف وأيضا جالادريول. كتير بيحبوا بعض كمان بالحياة مثل ما أنا اكتشفت باللقاء.
Mithrandir, why the halfling?
Why Bilbo Baggins? Perhaps it is because I'm afraid. And it gives me courage.
It feels like this is a character you've been attached to, a character that stayed with you. Is it the right impression?
Yes, it was certainly an experience that stayed with me. I mean, it was 3 fantastic weeks a decade ago, and then it was 8 days this time. But New Zealand is remarkable, and what was so great is it's pretty rare, I think, that a decade later you get to go back.
All of you, hide! Look for a cave!
Revisiting the character of Gandalf. Was the, you know, research done as it is, or did you dig in a little bit more?
It was very easy to return to Gandalf 12 years later. On the whole, it's always the new challenge that I'm looking for. And so why have I come back to Gandalf? Well, I didn't really want to see anybody else playing Gandalf, so if I was going to avoid that, I had to do it myself. And I'm glad I did.
The trees like torches blazed with light.
I cannot guarantee his safety.
Understood.
Kate Blanchett has confessed in an interview that she totally fell in love with you on that set because she spent a lot of time with you, and it was a...
Kate, where are you? I long to see you again.
She's on her way on the plane.
Yes, she's like, we hadn't worked together really before. Well, not at all. And she just came over for 2 weeks from Australia where she runs a theatre, and like I'm a theatre person as well, so we had lots to talk about. She did this very tender gesture at one point when there was a bit of hair hanging down, she just moved it to one side. I still don't know whether that was Kate doing it to Ian or whether it was Galadriel doing it to Gandalf, but Peter Jackson, who's always alert to something fresh and a new angle, kept that in the film.
Mithrandir.
I wish you were here in the room when I asked Ian McKellen about you. I told him that I read that you liked him a lot on set, and his face lit up. It feels like you had this wonderful acting experience on this. Is it true?
He is an extraordinary actor, and perhaps an even more remarkable man, if that's possible. He's wicked and funny and so gifted and unbelievably generous.
I hope one day we might work together in another film or a play on stage. That would be fun.
Yeah, that would be extraordinary for us as well as audience members.
All right. I'm just trying to invent some way that we could tell a story together. Maybe some illicit romance between a monk and a nun who decide to run away from their religious vocation.
Perhaps.
Anyone?
Yeah, exactly. It feels like you're writing your next film.
Warner Brothers, anything?
Consuming too many mushrooms.
There's a sense of home in the whole film that feels like it was also on set. Everybody was very homely, family-oriented, friends with each other.
And what was great about this film is that a decade ago when I was in The Lord of the Rings, I didn't have children, and now I've got 3 boys. And so, because it was only 8 days, they came out of school and were there for all of the filming. And so to see it through the prism of their experience was really magical.
Home is now behind you. The world is ahead.
انتهت حلقة الليلة من برنامج سكوب. بتمنى انه تكونوا استمتعتوا فيها وانه رح تحضروا فيلم ذا هوبيت بالسينما وافلام لورد اوف ذا رينجز على MBC2 يلي عم تحتفل بعيدها العاشر سنة 2013. It's very exciting our 10-year anniversary. الأسبوع المقبل حلقة خاصة بأجمل أوقات سنة 2012 والأوقات يلي كلنا منتظرينها سنة 2013. ما تنسوا تتابعونا على السوشيال ميديا، على تويتر، على فيسبوك وmbc.net/scoop with Raya وشاهد.net لترجعوا تحضرونا. See you next week. Bye.